Well, Paul sent out a challenge, or a poll on the Facebook page, and people wanted us to talk about to watch Pulp Fiction. What were the other choices?
I can't remember.
Okay.
Like maybe La La Land and No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
And Blade Runner.
Okay.
So are we rolling?
We're rolling.
Okay. I asked you on our community page.
And when he says you, he's talking to you. There's only one of you. There's only one person out there.
Okay, there are some epic movies that everybody has seen, and rightfully so because they're awesome. And we've missed some of them, obviously. One of mine is The Godfather. Mm-hmm. Okay? But we put out a poll, and you responded. You wanted us to talk about Pulp Fiction because Mark has never seen Pulp Fiction.
The only thing about Pulp Fiction that I knew was there was a cafeteria scene, and then there was the dancing. Because I've seen those in clips, and that's it. That's all I've known about Pulp Fiction.
It was the resurrection of John Travolta's career.
Short-lived resurrection because he just did crap after that.
Yeah, but he started making big money again after that.
Yeah.
Like it was big. Like everyone's just, we got to do John Travolta again. Actually, he made Get Shorty and Be Cool, which were pretty good movies after that. So I think there was some success there.
Okay.
But Pulp Fiction, very different movie.
Yeah, was it ever?
Okay, I think this is what put Quentin Tarantino on the map.
It did?
Well, he had, I think, The Usual Suspects before that.
Yeah, but this stood out for its complete...
No, was it Usual Suspects? No, Reservoir Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs, yeah.
Reservoir Dogs.
But this was bizarre.
This was a big hit. Reservoir Dog is a cult classic more than anything.
So was Pulp Fiction, I think.
But this became a big hit with big stars.
There were a lot of big stars in this.
Yeah. Which it surprises me that it was half decently good because...
ensemble casts
generally suck.
Okay, so what was the thing that stood out about this movie for you? Like, why was it different than any other movie?
It was out of order, for one.
Yep.
Right? So, I mean, everything connected. You know, you see them showing up in their pajama type clothes or volleyball clothes or whatever you want to call them, and you're wondering, why are they in those clothes? And then you realize that everything's out of order. And the Christopher Walken scene, it's the best thing I've ever seen.
Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Okay, but everything was out of order.
Everything's out of order.
Okay,
Yeah.
but why? What? How did it change the movie to be out of order like that? Because I can't think of one thing other than, it's out of order.
Because
It came full circle. Right?
Yeah, and also you have a guy who's dead still in the movie later on. Like, and you don't really notice it.
Yeah, but
other than, I remember, he's dead now.
But did that need to be like that?
No, but it added to the kind of movie that he was telling.
Because as you're watching it, and then you see him again, you're like...
Yeah.
Right?
And also the dialogue. Like, the conversations with Samuel L. Jackson and
Great
John
dialogue.
Travolta, was written really well.
That's what is missing from movies now.
See,
that kind of dialogue.
See, the other day when I said, okay... Like, in the last Marvel movie, I didn't really enjoy the conversations. The banter was not up to par. And in this, where it might not have been always, like, what you would call banter, just the conversations they were having were about nothing, but you're riveted.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what'd he do, fucker?
No, nothing that bad.
Well, then what then?
Gave her a foot massage.
Foot massage. That's it?
Mm-hmm.
Then what'd Marcellus do?
Sent a couple of cats over to his place. They took him out on his patio, threw his ass over the balcony. Nigga fell 4 stories. Had a little garden down at the bottom, closed in glass like a greenhouse. Nigga fell through that. Since then, he kind of developed a speech impediment.
That's a damn shame.
And then there's always a climax to the conversation. Like, it gets somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Right. Like,
right?
Look, they could talk about anything. They could talk about why is white bread better than brown bread, and they made it interesting.
Yeah, they even said it with, like, panache.
Yeah, and they had a reason for it.
Yeah, yeah.
The Royale, that's right.
Yeah, and you never knew if John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson were just going to start wailing on each other at one point because of the disagreements that they would have, which is cool.
Because you could tell, I mean, they were coworkers, but were they friends?
Yeah, they were both still killers.
They were, but I think they had a big respect for each other.
Sure,
they did.
That kind of relationship.
Professional respect.
Yeah.
And I work with you every day, and we go out and we'll kill people if we have to kill people. But are we like, are we friends?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And then there's the shock factor in the movie too. They had quite a few things in this movie that you don't see normally in movie.
He turns around talking to the guy in the back seat and
accidentally
shoots his
shoots
head,
him in the
blows his
face.
head off.
And then they got to figure, we're in the middle of downtown. What are we gonna do?
And it's like a mild inconvenience for them. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, "Aw."
Now what? Meanwhile, the guy's face is blown up. Or even the big scene there where he gets a chance to escape, and he decides to go back and help the guy who was going to kill him, who was after him to kill him
With the sword.
But he sees this weapon. He goes, oh,
Ooh.
well, that's a better one. Oh, that's a better weapon. It's just the growth of everything as it went along, right?
So, needless to say, weird movie, but enjoyable movie.
And kept you and like riveted the whole movie.
What'd you think about Uma Thurman?
I was okay. Like, I didn't know anything about her at the time. I knew her, but I'm not like. She wasn't my A-list actress or anything like that. But I think she was okay for the role. And that's John Travolta, like I said, was classic in this one because it was something he hadn't done in years.
He's a very, very subdued
Yeah.
personality in this. Eh?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was playing somebody that was on heroin, who just took a hit of heroin, so...
He's also taken out the mobster's wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's walk the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
He's in the bathroom talking himself out of, like,
I better not do this, but I'm gonna. But I better not. Yeah. So...
there's a lot of things that happen in this movie that were kind of like nothing burgers, but it was just so fascinating.
There was so many nothing burgers, it made a movie.
Yeah.
And so you want to talk about your Christopher Walken.
So there's a Christopher Walken scene, and it came out of nowhere. One of the Bruce Willis plays a fighter in the movie, and it has a flashback to when he was a kid, and to when Christopher Walken was in the military with his dad, who had been deceased, and he had passed this gold watch that was running in the family, right? And he passed it to his buddy to deliver to his son as his birthright. And so he's telling his son the story of how this watch came into the family, and
how he smuggled it,
and how it was handed down in military prisons, and how his dad carried it in his butt for 5 years, and then when he got it, he hid it in his butt for 2 years, and finally now it's yours.
And he goes, here.
And it's just, and the way that Christopher Walken delivers this line, I paused the movie, I called Paul, and I said, did you watch this? This is awesome.
Yeah, the most straight-laced conversation you could have.
Yeah, how did he
and with
not smile?
And with Christopher Walken, with his delivery of everything.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
So I thought that was funny. That was the highlight of the movie.
And so, like, I don't know if you remember the decade of movies, but where would you put this? Like, is this deserving of all the praise that it's gotten? Is it one of the best movies of the last 30 years?
It's. I think it's a movie that did change the way that some movies are made, like the way that it was filmed, right? So movies before this were always, start, middle, end. This movie was not start, middle, end. This was end, middle, start, middle, like it was all over the place.
It's also a really great example of how important dialogue is.
Mm-hmm.
And casting properly for it, right? I mean, you couldn't have picked a better person than Samuel L. Jackson at the time to take on this role. Mm-hmm. Because of his gravitas and his delivery lines, and he has this calm demeanor and everything, and all of a sudden he just gets louder and louder and free. This is when he became famous for doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So now he's a stereotype of himself.
But he knows it.
And he plays into it. Yeah, he says the same word in every movie now, and everyone waits for it because that's his lines.
Yeah.
But this is what set it off. And so, Pulp Fiction deserves to be exactly where it is. Great written movie, all-star cast, and everybody did their role perfectly. Harvey Keitel did that role perfectly as the
wolf.
cleaner, right?
wolf.
The wolf.
The wolf, yeah.
Like, so many people in this movie were just right.
Now Tarantino, this was his big entry into everything, and I haven't seen a few of his movies after this. I haven't seen Django Unchained.
Neither
haven't
have I,
seen
actually.
A couple of them, and I'm wondering.
And it's one of those movies, I see it on Netflix or whatever it comes up, and I'm like, I should watch that, and then I just don't.
Like, I'm wondering, like, is he becoming a stereotype of himself? I don't know. I'm asking the question.
He kind of is now, because he tries to repeat the same formula a lot, but nothing can repeat that movie.
So that's
It's
the best of everything.
That's his, as far as I'm concerned, that's been his best.
Yeah. Like, are his newer movies, like, still awesome, even if he's trying to recapture the Pulp
I'd
Fiction?
say they're more okay
Yeah.
than awesome in a lot of cases.
Because, like, I remember, like, absolutely adoring Pulp Fiction, and
Well, it's like go back to The Sixth Sense, and then look at what he does after that. There's no comparison.
yeah.
Right? You hit that magic, and then you try and recapture it. It doesn't always work. But he still will always be one of the top directors and producers out there now because of that movie.
So, Pulp Fiction, I give it a, hey, if you've not seen it, it's worth it.
Okay, out of 10, what would you give that?
It was a good 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Like a good 8.5. A really enjoyable movie. Cast was stellar. Dialogue was awesome. It wasn't built for a modern audience, right? So it was a really good, a good 8.5.
Yeah, I'm in the 9 category.
Me too. I'm a 9.
Yeah.
A 9 for me is a movie, the movie of a generation.
Yeah.
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 And I would say it was a defining movie of it, So, but I'll still stick with an 8.5.
Okay.
Pulp Fiction. He's never seen it. Good thing he runs a movie review channel.
I run it, do I?
I meant
Jim.
I meant to say run from it.
That's why we're only 3,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Just shy of 3,000. Oh my God, it's wet. Oh.